What is up guys, Cody here, and today we're going to be playing a 3v3 on Aosta Valley. So, this battle is going to be very interesting, so we're getting right into the action, skipping the deployment phase and right into the action. So, my army is in the center. On my left flank, you see another British army, and he went with a ton of foot, a good amount of cav as well, and he also brought some rifles. On the far right, we have Prussia. And he also brought a very nice army as well. You see, bringing some Lancers, Dragoons, and some more Lancers. So, going to be a very interesting battle. This is actually going to be a pretty much, not camping battle, but you could say a house-to-house combat. And it is going to get very, very intense very quickly. So, facing us, we have the mighty French army, and they're going to be marching up on us. You see, instantly marching into the town and trying to take shelter in these buildings, and there are quite a few here. I believe there's actually 6, so actually 7, so 4 on my side and then 3 on his side. I believe this one's pretty much dead center, so anyone could claim it. But I'm going to be rushing up as fast as possible because I know these buildings are going to be a big factor. You can see him already claiming some of the buildings right now, sending in the old guard, very elite unit, and one screw-up I already made, and that was my army build. Now, I thought this battle would have been a little bit more flat, you could say, not as many buildings, so I brought a total of 6 calves, so that was a pretty big mistake on my part. So I'm going to have to utilize my infantry to the max potential, especially against these Fusiliers and a lot of old guard and stuff, so it's going to be deadly. So what I'm going to try and do is I'm going to try and charge my cavalry into the enemy, and hopefully cause them to, you know, kind of stay back and not enter those buildings. And this is going to allow me time to get my troops up and hopefully try to swarm in and take these buildings from the French. But you can see there's just too many of them, and they're still trickling in at a really, really big number. Not sure trickle's the best word to use there. But you can see he did manage to get another building here. Or that was me, my bad. I'm claiming buildings now. So I have 2 buildings, he has 1. My cavalry is now starting to break just under this pressure of these young guard. Very deadly, very accurate, and you see they're still going to be pushing up here. But I'm going to have none of that. I'm going to be sending in my foot to try and claim this building for the queen. Going to try and charge in and hopefully win this engagement. Looks like we got not too sure what type of run this is. Look at what is this guy doing? He's just like shrugging. I don't know. Anyways, I'm going to be charging into the building, busting down the door, and having a little greeting with the French at their doorstep. So we are still going to be engaging. You see, they take in, I believe, 3 buildings now, 4 buildings. So this is not looking good for me, guys. I'm trying my hardest. I'm trying to take shelter in some of these buildings as well. Over here on my right flank, the action has started to pick up. You see a skirmish engagement is about to begin. These guys are in square. It looks like the Prussians did manage to charge in there, but the French were able to hold out. And now I'm going to charge once again into another building. Look at this one lone French. Oh, stabbed in the stomach. Not fun at all. But he's going to try and stop me from invading this house, so he's going to send in his pretty elite cavalry. And you can just see he brought no lights and very few cav, but he brought some insanely elite troops. So he was very smart and thought this one out, knowing that he was going to be attacking this little city or village here by bringing a lot of line infantry and elite infantry too. A lot of young guard and old guard. So I'm going to try and bombard him, hopefully shoot some of these guys out of the window, and give my guys some cover while they're trying to enter over here. Cavalry doing a very, very deadly job right there, devastating my guys. Looks like we got some grenadiers of the line actually trying to push up onto my location. Not too sure his idea on this point, or idea here, but he got a very, very nice cav charge in on my light foot. That's going to cause a lot of problems for me. So it is hell right now. It is a true house-to-house engagement. Troops everywhere right now. Actually throwing their grenades. This is going to hurt a lot. Let's check this out. Oh man, that is deadly. And you guys might have noticed, but this is actually on ultra settings, so these units are at 160 men. I actually did manage to break this one young guard, excuse me, one young guard from the building. So this building is now mine. So that leaves me with 3 buildings. Actually 4 buildings, and he has 3. But I'm trying my hardest to win this engagement in here. He's actually sending in more young guard to hopefully flush me out. But I do have some pretty elite units in here. Or actually, just one German's Legion. But I'm just relying on them heavily to hold these guys back. My guys are in a pretty bad situation. They got charged by the cavalry, so I'm going to try and counter-charge with my cav. It's going to kill a lot of my own guys, but it is okay. Over here we got the French pushing up, and they're actually going to be charging into lights, or excuse me, into stakes. Not a smart idea at all by the French player. You see just the cav tumbling. Managed to get a good square going, and those cav are going to rout extremely fast. Over here I'm trying to charge, commit, and charge through into some of these chasseurs chacheval. Guard chasseurs chacheval, so those guys are even more elite. And British cav, the cav I brought were pretty much throwaway units, just hoping to distract the enemy and keep them from firing, which is doing a decent job, but when it's house-to-house combat, you really can't squeeze a horse through a door. It's just not possible. Oh man. Anyways, my units are starting to rout, my cav at least, and it is becoming a massive bloodbath here. We have some young guard and more fusiliers, followed up by old guard. In reserves, even more grenadiers. I mean, just so many elite troops. The 18th, I mean, so many elite troops. So I'm going to try and halt my advance, just because I can't keep pushing units into these houses. And that is because he just has too much skill. It's not a matter of micro when you're trying to do house engagements. It's about the statistics of the units. If they have better melee stats, morale, they're pretty much gonna win no matter what. So, British over here doing a fantastic job actually managing to break through some of these French lines and engage in their lights. Over here on the left flank, the British have seen little to no resistance here and are going to be pushing up and hopefully flanking these French. It looks like they're not even paying attention right now. Might get some fabulous shots off on these French cav. Over here in the city, still very hectic. I actually did manage to throw in another unit into the mix and hopefully boost the morale. We got the Black Watch in the house now, so these Fusiliers are going to be in some trouble, but like I said, they have the old guard out here that's going to give them that morale boost. Over here on the right flank, we have a skirmish engagement continuing. Good job with stakes, managing to take down so much of those cav. That was a phenomenal job by the Prussian player. And he's actually going to be helping me out with some line infantry that I really do need. Over here, the morale is getting pretty bad for my guys, and once again, that's because the young guard, Fusiliers, and old guard are here bombarding me with gunfire. Looks like they're actually shooting their own guys right now, so pretty surprised by that, but guess you gotta do what you gotta do. So I'm holding my advance, like I said, just going to stay back and wait for him to make the attack, because I've been attacking this pretty much this whole time. And look at this, we got some Fusiliers charging into these rifles. That is not going to be on the morale, or good for the morale for these riflemen. And got the British goons now trying to help out and keep these Fusiliers from pushing onward. Over here, it looks like we got a massive melee charge by the British. 3-foot units into this one young guard. It's going to be a bloodbath, but the foot are ready for this charge. Point blank shot, but look at this swarm of British troops. Look at that. Those young guard are going to be overwhelmed, but they are relying on their skill right now to help them out. Over here we have another young guard. I mean, there's so many elite troops in this battle. So many elite. Look at this, Grenadiers, Old Guard, Fusiliers. I mean, so many elite troops. It was a really big pain this game to deal with all those guys. But it did seem, yep, the French have taken this building, and at this point I'm like, I'm done. I need to stop committing. I'm just going to be throwing away troops just because these guys are just too elite for me to engage in a house-to-house combat situation. So I'm going to pull back and rely on my allies now to hopefully overwhelm the enemy with their numbers. The British do have good line, but when they're facing elite troops, they're going to have to rely on numbers. So that is exactly what the British are doing right here. You got 3-on-1 here, as well as a 3-on-1 situation here. In the center, things are starting to calm down, and it's just going to be a skirmish engagement from house to house. You see we're just staring at each other, ready for one to make a move. Over here, though, the action is still continuing. We got a skirmish engagement, and now soon to be a line engagement happening. Got some Prussian Fusiliers pushing up, and looks like the Prussians actually did manage to claim some of the hill up here with the French, so these Young Guard are going to be at a slight disadvantage. Not only are they lower in terms of terrain, but they are also not by any cover as to where these Prussians are in the forest and are going to be saved by those trees. Looks like these Dragoons are actually going to try and charge into some of the 7E regiment. It looks like they're caught up upon some of these musketeers that are in square, but look at this, not good news for the British player over here. The general has died, and that means the morale is going to get very bad. So I am forced to send in my cav now. I'm really trying to aid this British player on my left flank, and that is just because he's crumbling due to the morale. His general did die, like I said, and that's going to cause so much damage. Over here, though, good job on his part managing to make these Young Guard form square and getting shots from pretty much all angles. So phenomenal job there. These guys are not having a good day whatsoever, and they're going to take some extremely big losses. Over here, the engagement still continuing. It looks like the Prussians are actually managing to get some cav into the enemy line, and that's going to cause them or keep them from firing. Like I said, the Prussian player should be capitalizing on this and pushing up his line of infantry and getting some phenomenal shots off, but right now he's going to be holding back, and look at this guy. This guy's the only one in the center of the square. That is a cool looking screenshot. What an epic position that is. Anyways, these Prussian cav are gone. Looks like we got some old guard now, and grenadiers pushing up, and right now I am actually in a 3v1 situation or scenario, and that is because some British or French troops from this side actually managed to come over here as well as over here. So it may not look like it, but I am actually facing a 3v1. So that's not the funnest thing to be doing, but I am going to be defending and waiting for him to attack. But over here, though, it's going to be also a 2v1. Those Grenadiers and Old Guard are actually allied troops from that other side, or enemy troops, excuse me. But look at this. Young Guard are taking quite some heavy losses here, but the morale is going to get to these Musketeers. You see they're breaking at 62 men. I'm pretty sure they could have beat these Young Guard with 43 men, but the morale, I'm just saying, the morale is so good for the French right now. Especially with that general dying for the British. Not good at all. So, looks over here as though these foot actually managed to break this Young Guard. And they're actually going to be coming down from the hill and flanking these Old Guard from the back. But the French do realize this and are going to be sending over some Fusiliers and Old Guard as well to hopefully stop this push by the foot. And their morale, like I said, general dying, they're in the orange, and they have some extremely good health. Over here, a little melee engagement happened between the Fusiliers and my foot. I actually managed to devastate these Fusiliers. They were at some pretty high numbers, and I just completely slaughtered them. So, morale's getting bad. It looks like a massive cav charge now from the French player is going to hit these British. One of the British units didn't manage to form square, and they broke at 87 men, as where these other two did form square and are going to be able to fend off this cav push. Man, not looking good at all. But look at this, that Young Guard finally broke. Actually, the Old Guard broke, so this is going to open up some more units for the British player, and he's going to be able to counter this massive horde of cav and Old Guard that are coming this way. Over here, the Prussians doing a pretty good job in breaking quite a few of these French units, but you guys will see shortly how many hidden units there are for the French. It just felt like a never-ending supply of reinforcements. You guys will see that shortly, or at least I did. At least when you're playing a battle and you see just one unit, it feels like so many more. I don't know. Maybe there is. There's quite a few, so you guys will see that shortly. But look at this: a cav charge by the French into these foot. But are actually managing to hold off pretty well, actually getting some good shots off while in melee onto these Young Guard, which are facing the wrong direction. So they are multitasking right there. Multitasking at their finest. Looks like these foot guard are actually managing to kill a lot of these Fusiliers, but look at this, like I said, poor morale for the British, and they break at 100 guys. And it is going to be a slaughter fest. Over here, things are slowing down, just like before. Not too much is happening. We got a line engagement now happening between some Grenadiers, we got some Old Guard, some Fusiliers up against some Musketeers, and some Lights. And look at this, we have actually managed to kill their general. The French general on the far left side actually did manage to die, so that is going to somewhat even the odds in terms of morale. Look at this massive force of Old Guard, almost at perfect health. And they're going to be pushing downward onto these foot. Poor morale, even with high numbers, their morale is horrible just because those Old Guard are nearby. But you can see very even match, and it actually looks, looking at the balance of power, we actually don't have the advantage, and that is crazy stuff. Pretty sure just because of the morale and the elite troops that the French have to offer. Now, over here, like I said, never-ending supply of reinforcements. Look how many units just came out of hiding. One Old Guard, one Young Guard, Fusilier, Old Guard, and some more Fusiliers, on top of another Lancer unit. I mean, this was just a never-ending reinforcement supply. We even have some units over here. We got some Old Guard and the General. So, it is very hard. And this Prussian player right here is really going through some hard times right now. He does have a couple reinforcements back here, but he's going to need a lot more in order to hold off this massive horde that's coming his way. Over here, though, the British are doing a phenomenal job forcing these Old Guard in square. Not too sure why he wanted to go in square, maybe because he could shoot from 2 angles, but that does minimize his firepower, and now he's going to get triple team. Now, in the process, we were discussing on our tactics, on who to support who, and I actually did manage to send over a Highland foot. They've been coming over for a long time now, but they're pretty tired, so it took them a long time, but they finally are about to show up to the party and help aid my fellow British player. Over here, I'm going to try and support the Prussians just because I saw those reinforcements, and hopefully aid the Prussian player here. So we will see what damage we can cause. Still, we're having a little engagement, skirmish engagement from afar right now. Looks like he turned his guys off fire at will, so very smart move here. And that's just going to save ammunition because it is actually very hard to kill people from house-to-house combat. But I'm not too sure why he was doing this, but he actually took his guys out of the houses. If I were him, I would have just kept them in because I'm able now to get some phenomenal shots off while he's pulling out. And yeah, Old Guard getting slaughtered. Slaughtered by so many guys. And they're going to break. You just see the bodies that laid there. And that's not it. They're still going to get pounded. The British do not want to see them go home. they want them dead. So, like I said, I don't know why he's moving his French troops out of the house. Maybe he's getting ready for a massive push on me. But despite my numbers, I am pretty well fortified. I have my guys trained from different angles and are very prepared to take on this horde of French troops, elite French troops. So over here I did manage to send over some British troops. And they're going to get some nice shots off on the flank of these Old Guard. They might actually be shooting the hill. Let me see. Yeah, only a few are getting some kills, but they are mainly shooting the hill. So good placement with these Old Guard actually using the hill to their protection. Still, house-to-house engagement. From their point of view. Oh, yes. Okay, so the French are now sending in a massive force. Like I said, they're going to try and do a massive scale attack, and this is the time I need to send my lights in and hopefully deplete these numbers. And you see these guys are just dropping like flies right now. Over here we have a melee engagement. Got some Fusiliers going up against, actually Fusiliers and some Grenadiers up against some foot, so that's going to be a very good battle. Over here I got some lights and line 2 lights and one pretty healthy foot unit up against some of these Prussian Fusiliers. and some more young guard. Does have a lot of reserves though, like I said, and once again sending over more units now. So I'm just hoping I can hold off this attack. I'm actually managing to break some of these units. These guys are just standing here, not doing too much. I think because the buildings are just too full. No, here they go, here they go. Or no, they're not. Okay. So this is going to allow me to get some phenomenal shots off. These guys are going to just mow down these guys. Not at that fast of a rate, but they're at least going to be able to take them down. Looks like he's going to try and train his fire onto my light foot. But my guys are in light formation, so they will not take too many losses. And I'm just praying to God right now he does not melee charge me, because if he melee charges my lights, it's GG. I have really nothing to offer. There's only a militia in this house, so it would have been a very smart move if he charged me. But I could see the reason why he didn't. He wanted to try and use his firepower to overwhelm me. Looking at this flank, the British are victorious, but I believe there is an old guard here that's preventing us from reinforcing the center city section. So I am going to be forced to take the long route along with my ally to go all the way around and strike the French from the back. This is going to take a long time to do. Very smart move by the French player, and allowing the reinforcements to be delayed. Very smart move there. Because I knew I would have lost way too many guys going up against these old guard than I would have if I just went across or the other side, so that is exactly what I did. Prussians are looking somewhat good right now, but like I said, a lot of elite troops still, and some reinforcements are still continuing to trickle in. We got the general over here trying to hide himself away from the British, but we clearly see him, and we're going to try and take the opportunity to take him out and see the morale effect of these French once they do lose their general, if we're able to. So we're just hoping that he stays stationary and doesn't notice what is happening along his left flank. Or his right flank, excuse me. So, seeing that the Prussians are pretty successful on this flank, I'm actually going to withdraw some of these units and send them to much more needed areas, such as over here. We got some young guard going up against these musketeers. Musketeers do have quite a few more men than them, but their morale is bad just because of the elites. We still have the 18th Regiment, the Brave, in this house right now. Actually exiting the house right now and moving towards the combat. But I am able to pretty much rout the rest of these French. Looks like the Young Guard actually managed to get into melee, but they're only against fencibles, and I'm just hoping these fencibles are somewhat able to hold off. And they're actually doing a pretty good job right now. Morale's getting pretty bad for the Young Guard. Their numbers are getting pretty low, so they're going to break very shortly. And my foot have arrived and are going to open up upon the Brave and the Fusiliers. Over here I'm going to push up my foot guard that have one with quite some good numbers, 100 guys left. They're going to get some good flanking fire on these Fusiliers and the 18th Regiment. Over here we managed to break these Young Guard. My guys are still in the house, getting some phenomenal shots, and you can see there is quite a change in the balance of power now. But over here, things are still very even. You see a bloodbath of bodies right here. Just the bodies laying, stacking up upon the hundreds. So many bodies that lay here, but there are old guard here and some Fusiliers up against just regular musketeers and one foot guard. So we will see what these Prussians are made of and if they are even able to counter these old guard. So, smart move by the French player, actually managing to send to the rest of his troops that he has left back into this building. And, what do you know? Another hidden unit. No, I take that back. That was the unit that came over here. Okay, so these guys are going to be defending from the rear. If I were him, I would be charging them or putting them into a building. That way they're able to shoot on both directions. But over here, sending my troops into melee combat and just hoping I can overwhelm him with the numbers I have. I don't have too many guys, but nor does he. On this flank, Prussians were losing the engagement, so they are being forced to pull back. because I knew if these Prussians did lose over here, that would cause a lot of stress on me in the city. So the safest way to overcome that issue was to pull back his troops, and that's exactly what he did. So smart move here. And over here, my idea on this was to try and pinch this old guard unit from two directions. So I have my Highland foot on coming up over here, actually underground. I don't know what they're doing under there. Looking for gold, who knows. Anyways, the plan didn't go so well just because my ally kind of attacked a little too early, and that one volley actually did manage to break this foot guard, or foot unit, instantly. So these foot are forced to be in square, and their morale is pretty bad. But luckily, the Prussian player did manage to get his unit over here, and are going to help aid my cause. And this is going to allow my guys to shoot from two directions, or hopefully. My guys are exhausted. They've been running all day. So I did send over one more foot unit over to help. And what is this? What the heck? Is that like a thing? We got a floating spear here. Alright. Some Houdini stuff going on. What? Okay. Anyways, I'm going to have my foot here, and I'm just going to leave them here just in case the French do want to attack, and this is going to allow to help my aid my ally by providing some flanking force for him. Over here, I'm actually losing this house right now. Morale is not looking good for me. 56 guys to 72, so pretty even numbers. But I am facing the Brave, and they do have some pretty elite troops, so I see why I am losing that. That's actually one unit that routed. There's another one still in here. These guys are out of 53, and these guys are at like 75, I think? 74, okay. So, smart move by the French player, forming what is going... Another hidden unit. This time it is the Young Guard. These guys are going to be trying to aim and open up on these musketeers, but it looks like they're going to be shooting the hill a little bit. But good job here. The French actually still have two buildings in this city, so things are far from over. Over here, I'm trying to get a volley off. Come on, fire. And I get a phenomenal shot off on these old guard. They're going to respond and retaliate, but their numbers aren't the best. And they're going to end up trying to melee me, but they do break beforehand. So this is going to open up many opportunities, at which I'm going to try and strike their flank now, and hopefully cause maximum damage and a really, really painful morale drop. And now my units are running out of ammo, so instead of getting that nice little shots off on the flank, I'm actually going to try and do like a little fake charge then run off. And the reason why I ran off was because he's focused on me now and not these musketeers. So that gave the Prussians a little bit more shots off. And over here, breaking your Young Guard, excuse me. Those guys are gone, and now we're going to have another melee engagement. This time outside the house, not in, and I'm just hoping I can break them. But my guys do have bad morale in the red, and they break. So, I mean, these Brave have been, I think they broke 5 units now. And I'm like, nope, I'm done attacking. So I'm going to put these guys into the house. We got a floating guy here, not too sure what he's doing. Another Houdini act. What is going on? Anyways, my guys are going to be shooting from the house and hopefully breaking these brave men. Literally brave. Look at that. My own guy falling on top of the enemy. Interesting. So these guys are not going to be able to stand much longer just because they don't have any good defensive positions to block themselves from the bullets. And announcer just said another general is dead for the French. So I believe that is 2 generals down. But look at this, the old guard going to come in and get some revenge for what the British have done. And going to get... They actually break before the old guard are able to reach them. So action is dying down over here. Complete bloodbath, but the battle has finally ended. Concluded with a ton of losses. You can see the old guard running back to France. Got a frozen guy here, not too sure what he's doing. My guys are running out of ammo now. But not many units are left for the French. I believe it's just the dead general unit and this really healthy old guard unit. So I'm going to try to get some good shots off with my Highland Foot that have been running so long, but they're not going to make it. They're not going to form up just because it's taking them ages to, and they're so tired. So I'm going to form a square and hope that my guys are able to hold out. Meanwhile, my reinforcements are slow to come. Looks like the general, actually, this is the other general. Looks like he's going to try and charge into the Prussian general, but actually does rout beforehand. So that leaves all but one unit, and that is the old guard. So they're going to try and engage my Highland Foot that are exhausted. These guys are very tired, so it's pretty even right now. He does have the numbers and skill over me, but I do have square formation going. Alright, place your bets, guys. Will this guy kill this guy? We'll find out very shortly. Come on. Oh, no. The Highland Foot break. That is not good. Young or old guard. Why am I saying young guard? It's so weird. Okay. So they're going to form up, and I'm going to fast forward. So pretty obvious who is the victor in this game. Claimed another building. But I do have a substantial... I cannot talk. A decent amount of units still left. A lot of depleted ones, but I believe I have around 8 units left. My allies are fairly depleted as well. Looks like the general has taken some losses too. So pretty much every unit has taken some losses, even my general. So these old guard are going to march up on this hill and have a final stand. But I'm getting some good shots off on the flank. He sees that, he's going to form square, and then he's going to finally push down, and these volleys are just going to destroy his ranks. Bodies dropping so fast from so many angles. These shots are coming in, and there goes the final unit. So excellent battle. I mean, this was a very well played out battle, and very, 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 very good. So looking at the stats, you can see the Prussian player with 1,600 kills, me with 1,800 kills, and the other British player with 1,100 kills. For the enemy, though, they did a phenomenal job, too. I actually think they have... No, they almost have as many kills as us, but they did take quite a few losses. We all took extremely high losses, so extremely good game. See, pretty much everyone deploying with 2,000 men, couple with in the 1,000 range, but let's go over theirs. Got 1,500, 1,500, and then 1,200. Let's look at the unit statistics. Foot with 304 kills. Wow. Phenomenal job. I wonder what unit that was or where it was located at. I think it might have been over here by this house. There's a lot of action that went down here, so I think that's where it was, but a lot of action. General not killing anyone. What a shame. But anyways, guys, hope you guys enjoyed this video. If so, remember to leave a like and comment down below what you guys want to see next. And until then, guys, hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I will see you guys later.